Hi everyone, my name is Sarah and I'm a 17-year-old senior in high school. Today I want to talk to you about female stereotypes that we encounter on a daily basis and how those influences can affect how society views women and how women view themselves. First, I would love to share why I have an enormous amount of passion for this issue. In middle school, I was extremely naive when it came to women's equality. My idea was that when women gained the right to vote in 1920, women were completely equal to their male counterparts. I thought that on that day, female stereotypes were eradicated and we finally had the same rights as men. So didn't that mean we were going to be treated, judged, and looked upon equally from there on out? Well, my outlook on this issue did a 360 when I read an article in 8th grade. I have been a Girl Scout now for 13 years and I had to read that article for a badge I was working on. And initially, before I began, I didn't think much of it. However, I started to read it and it discussed female clichés and stereotypes and how they are portrayed in media, television, movies, social media, and magazines over and over again. And how they are just so embedded in everyday society that it's second nature to almost accept them as fact. This one little article started me on a path of wanting to further research the topic, and then I began to notice these derogatory portrayals of women everywhere. In the shows I watched, and on magazine covers, and on Instagram, and all the social networking sites, and it was extremely frustrating that I had never really took notice to how society truly portrays women up until then. I felt disappointed that there had never been an opportunity at school that talked about this international issue of female discrimination. At that point, I knew I wanted to make this video to talk to everyone, but especially young girls, about female discrimination in today's society, and how that psychologically affects girls, and hopefully inspire you all to defy the mold that girls are pressured to conform into. I feel truly blessed and thankful to be given this opportunity and outlet to discuss these issues, so let's get started. The first topic I want to discuss is female stereotypes we encounter daily on television and in movies. First, I want to explore movie posters. Movie posters have a recurring theme of depicting girls as weak, as sex symbols, and as arm candy to the stronger and dominating male leads. For example, there is an astonishing number of movie posters that portray men looking through a pair of women's legs, in addition to a multitude of others that just show the actress's body rather than including their faces. These posters exemplify the idea that women's outward appearance and sex appeal is their most valuable asset. They are degrading toward the actresses themselves because it gives the impression that their success as an actress is based solely on their appearance of their body rather than their talent or hard work. By not including their faces, it is personifying these women as if they were objects and belittles characteristics such as their personalities, emotions, talents, and their overall uniqueness. Even when they do show their faces, women are statistically more likely to be portrayed in sexy clothing than their male counterparts, some examples including Jumanji, Guardians of the Galaxy, and The Wolf of Wall Street, again, diminishing the worth of their other traits by emphasizing the importance of their outward appearance. Another common depiction of women is the stereotype of a damsel in distress, where a woman passively morphs into the background and relies on their male hero savior. These three posters of Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, and Superman Returns are eerily similar. They all depict a strong male lead dominating the center of the poster with a woman submissively grasping him for comfort and reliance. This body language conveys the stereotype that women must rely on men, as well as that men are literally and figuratively the heroes. Next, I want to discuss a concept called the Smurfette principle. The Smurfette principle is the practice in fiction, such as film and television series, to include only one woman in an otherwise entirely male ensemble. It establishes a male-dominated narrative where the woman is the exception and exists only in reference to the men. Some examples include Miss Piggy in the Muppets, Princess Leia in Star Wars, Elaine in Seinfeld, Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy, and Eleven in Stranger Things. In these shows and movies, plus in many more, there is a statistically significant difference in the number of male and number of female characters by only having one token girl. What makes this concept even more horrific, however, is that often this sole female character main contributing factor is being the romantic interest to the dominating male lead. Going back to my previous examples, Miss Piggy and Kermit, Elaine and Jerry, Gamora and Star-Lord, and Eleven and Mike are again just a few examples where the woman's purpose is to serve as the romantic interest. The Smurfette effect, by having an unbalanced gender ratio, teaches girls that it is normal for males to be dominating, as well as undercuts the idea that women can be strong and independent by these female characters consistently serving only as a romantic partner for a male lead. Sometimes there is even no women, and I want to show you all a picture that was in an article in Vanity Fair magazine of the people that lead late-night television. When I first saw this picture, I was shocked. A field of all men, and when I see it, something goes off in my head screaming something is wrong. Why is there absolutely no women when more than half of the population is women? Looking at probability alone, it literally does not add up. Although I may have focused most of my attention on entertainment for teenagers and adults, children's shows are just as guilty of stereotyping women and being gender biased. I first want to jump into some pretty shocking statistics. First is that in children's television, male characters appear at about twice the rate of female characters. I went back and looked at some of my favorite childhood shows. I found that almost every show I searched up had a greater number of boys than girls in their main cast. Hannah Montana had 4 boys to 2 girls, iCarly 3 boys to 2 girls, and SpongeBob SquarePants having 6 boys to 1 girl. In addition to TV shows, a study done into G-rated movies found only 28% of speaking characters were female. Movies like Cars, Ratatouille, Toy Stories, and Monster University all have a much greater percentage of male characters than female. Sadly, this results in we as a society becoming so accustomed to the voice of a male narrator that hearing a female voice immediately sends a signal to our brain of weirdness. Overall, these statistics show the extreme difference in male versus female representation in children's entertainment. By being exposed to this type of entertainment so early in a child's life, it sets up a basis of accepting gender disproportionality as the normal. As they grow to adulthood and they continue to see this type of inequality, but since they are accustomed to the idea, it does not stand out as peculiar. Next, for children's entertainment, I want to delve into the world of Disney princesses. Growing up as a young girl, Disney princesses are put on a pedestal and immediately become the image of what a girl should want to play with, watch, and be. How many times have you heard the cliché statement, either in real life or in entertainment, "When I grow up, I want to be a princess," said by a little girl? Although sometimes these princesses are good role models, such as by showing characters of strength and maturity, for the most part, they provide the example to young girls that having beauty and finding your prince is the definition of a fairy tale life. Time and time again, these princesses portray the classic cliché of a damsel in distress as they are saved by their prince, whether it be Cinderella, Snow White, or Sleeping Beauty. This idea teaches girls that you need a male to get you out of a bad situation. In addition to those 3 princesses, Ariel from The Little Mermaid is not a good role model for young girls. In addition to the story yet again being based on a fairy tale romance, Ariel goes out of her way to give up her voice and change her body in order to be with a man. Although these changes are physical and therefore impossible in that sense of the word, the idea of a girl feeling she has to change her body in terms of weight or shape, or feel like she has to give up her voice in terms of being submissive rather than sharing opinions, is completely possible and is supported by this princess's story by enforcing the idea that it is okay to change yourself in order to please a partner. When in reality, everyone should embrace their uniqueness, and no one has the power to force you to change yourself in any way. The last part of female stereotypes in entertainment I want to dissect is career stereotypes. In this day and age, when it comes to careers, we have been taught that a woman could do any job a man could do. However, entertainment continues to portray men and women in their old-fashioned, outdated, stereotypical careers. I want to begin by dissecting some of the most famous popular TV shows. First, I want to look at The Office, one of the most popular sitcoms today, but has extremely derogatory aspects. In addition to an array of jokes about feminine insuperiority, I want to rather go in depth with the different careers portrayed in the show. First, there's a series of bosses and CEOs who are male, including Michael Scott, Ed Truck, Jim Halpert, D'Angelo, Andy Bernard, Robert California, Dwight Schrute, and David Wallace. The one female boss for a short time, Natalie Bertram, is not afraid to speak her voice and take charge as she fights for the manager position. However, she receives more backlash than any of the male bosses and is soon demoted. In addition, in the entire show's history, there was never a male secretary, except one episode where Andy tries being a secretary and enjoys the job, but his coworkers convince him that it is a terrible job and he should not do it. The stereotype is that a man is a boss and a woman is a secretary, and by following these stereotypes so actively, The Office is enforcing these cliches to be what is normal. Another show I want to explore is The Big Bang Theory, and specifically Penny and Amy. Penny is known for being attractive and having sex appeal, but she is also known for her lack of intelligence. And on the flip side, Amy is extremely intelligent but is made fun of for her looks. This dynamic influences the concept that beauty and intelligence cannot coincide. Amy is a very successful scientist, and at the same time is defying the career stereotype that men should dominate the STEM fields. However, her character pushes the idea that when you are intelligent, you need to have the cliché nerd look, when in reality, outward appearance has absolutely nothing to do with inner attributes, such as intelligence, and has nothing to do with what career path you should take. The final show I want to quickly discuss is Friends, and specifically 2 episodes. The first episode is when Ross and Rachel hire a nanny that is a man. Ross constantly mocks the male nanny because the idea of a nanny being a male is considered so uncommon in today's society that there's an ability to make a full episode of comedy rotating around this one absurd idea. This same narrative is also repeated in another episode with a male nurse, and portraying these ideas as a joke diminishes their value and makes them a literal joke in the real world. Overall, in entertainment, both in TV and movies, there is a recurring theme of stereotypes, inequality, discrimination, and disrespect. In addition to entertainment, social media and magazines further exemplify female stereotypes and introduces the idea of unrealistic and unhealthy beauty standards. The next section of this video is on body image. Magazines, social media, and advertisements in particular have influenced body image. Every day we see women in these outlets with extremely skinny bodies and stereotypical pretty faces, such as blonde hair, blue eyes, flawless skin, and the pressure of natural beauty that is produced with the full face of makeup and airbrushing. Day after day, these images flow through our lives, further emphasizing the very specific and unrealistic idea of perfection for women. I'm here to discuss just how unrealistic this idea is. In a survey done by Huffington Post, 15% of 18 to 24-year-olds surveyed were convinced that the images of models and celebrities in advertisements, magazines, and billboards accurately depict what these women look like in real life. There's been a multitude of research on the amount of ads and pictures are altered, with the low end being 78% and the high end being 100% of pictures in these outlets are photoshopped, to some extent. Here's a video of a Photoshop editor at work. Just look at how drastically the girl has changed from the original image. Due to these ads, 7 million girls and women under 25 suffer from eating disorders due to seeing unrealistic ads of how they should look. A majority of these pictures portray bodies physically impossible to achieve, and even the models before Photoshop are unhealthy. A study from Dream Models, a modeling management agency, revealed that out of 3,000 models from leading agencies that were polled, 94% were at an unhealthy body mass and underweight. Models such as from Victoria's Secret not only are at an unhealthy weight, but literally suffer medical complications both for their physical and mental health due to the rigorous and excessive food and exercise plan they are on. Here's a picture of the Victoria's Secret body campaign, and it is obvious that they are not supporting a variety of healthy bodies. There is no one ideal body shape. There is no one perfect body because healthy looks different on everybody. Details such as weight vary from person to person based on genetic factors, bone density, and amount of muscle, which, by the way, weighs more than fat. What is even worse is the unhealthy idea of what a woman's body should look like is so engulfed in society and considered normal that girls that are healthy receive criticism and fat jokes and other types of bullying, especially online. Why are the unhealthy women that girls look up to just to become dissatisfied with their own bodies because they do not match these models that only look like they do because of being dangerously underweight and photoshopped? Sadly, it is a societal normality, and we need to continue working on emphasizing what healthy actually looks like. My simple advice is never judge or make fun of someone based on how their bodies look, because body shaming can be detrimental. The number one argument against body positivity that I hear is that plus-size girls are not healthy and therefore they should be shamed, so it forces them to change their habits as well as preventing them from giving off the idea to other girls that being overweight and therefore unhealthy is okay. This logic is flawed. First of all, you should never be intentionally mean or shame someone. A friend once told me that you should not point out something that cannot be changed in 5 minutes. For example, if someone has something in their teeth, you can point that out and they can quickly go to the bathroom and get it removed. However, something like weight cannot be fixed so easily. In addition, weight is not always physical, but can be linked to something psychological. So even though one person may think it's extremely easy to eat healthier and work out more, you never know what is going on in someone's life, and it may not be that simple for them. You should definitely support healthy habits, but be cautious of people's feelings and respect wherever someone is on their weight loss journey. Ultimately, it's their life, not yours, and at no time should someone feel ashamed of how they look. You should definitely support healthy habits, but be cautious of people's feelings and respect wherever someone is on their weight loss journey. Ultimately, it's their life, not yours, and at no time should someone feel ashamed of how they look, because in no way does that help anyone. Explain to girls as well as the men in your lives that society's perfect idea of a woman is unrealistic and literally impossible, and just help them be healthy, whatever that means for them. Now that I have been over the different aspects, female stereotypes and discrimination, I want to delve further into the effects. To address my first point, I want to play a little game. I sat down with my friends and told them I would be asking them a simple question, but they did not know why or for what purpose. In reality, I wanted to know if they use male, female, or gender-neutral pronouns unconsciously when describing different careers. Take a look. Hi, Emily.
Hey, Sarah.
Do you know why I brought you here today?
No.
Okay, all I want you to do is describe the daily schedule of a doctor.
Well, first he would have to wake up because that's how the day begins. You wake up. He wakes up, probably eats breakfast or goes out to a breakfast. I don't know. Gets breakfast, gets in his car. He drives to work. Depends on what type of doctor he is from there. Like eye doctor, foot doctor, pediatrician, ER worker, surgeon, whatever. He would just operate, do whatever he does, diagnose problems, treat problems, prescribe medicines, get in his car, go home, have dinner, fill his free time, and go to bed, play golf.
Nice. Well, that was a nice description, but I don't really care what a doctor does on a daily basis. My film is on gender stereotypes. And did you realize you were saying he the whole time, which is a male pronoun?
I do now.
You do now. So why do you think you said it without really thinking about it?
It was just I don't know, it was just default, I don't know.
Good morning, Gabby.
Good morning, Sarah.
Do you know why you're here today?
No, I do not.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So all I want you to do is describe the daily schedule, day-by-day actions of a secretary.
Okay, so she would get up in the morning, she'd get ready, she'd go to work, she would answer calls, take messages, make photocopies, maybe go for a coffee run. If there's a meeting, she may go in and take notes, and then she'd go home.
All right, well, even though that was a great description, I don't care what a secretary does on a daily basis. My film is on gender stereotypes, so I wondered if you were conscious that you were using she, female pronoun. No? Why do you think you did it then?
Just because secretary is a job that's typically associated with females. You know, that they're shown in movies and shows, and you never really see or hear anything about a man's secretary.
Interesting. Did you notice how unconsciously they use the stereotypical pronouns when describing these careers? When describing what a doctor does on a daily basis, they used he, and when describing what a secretary does, they use she. This just proves how natural and normal these stereotypes are in everyday discussion, and just how we all may be gender discriminizing every day and not realize it. Although this treatment affects girls in many ways, I want to focus on how it affects what careers they choose. As I talked about before, television, movies, magazines, and many other outlets portray females in a very stereotypical light. Take a look at this graph. This graph shows what percent of each career are portrayed by a woman in television. As you can see, stereotypical female jobs are often portrayed by female actors, while typical male occupations such as soldier and president are far less likely to be portrayed by a woman. Not consequently, in real life, the statistics are very similar, with jobs in the STEM, management, and law fields being dominated by men, while careers such as teacher and administrative support being dominated by women. I'm not saying careers that are female-dominated are less significant or worse in any way, and if those areas are a passion of yours, go for it, and that's absolutely amazing. My goal is to just open girls' eyes to more opportunities and make sure they do not shy away from a male-dominated occupation because they feel like they should not be there or are not smart enough to be there, do not belong there for any reason, or anything else. I'm going to discuss the research published in the journal Science with support by the National Science Institute concerning the psychological effects of gender stereotypes that we see in media and how they affect both children and adults. The findings show that these female stereotypes start affecting girls psychologically by age 6, influencing the types of toys and activities they choose to partake in. Every day, young children see commercial after commercial and ad after ad of girls playing with dolls and princesses and boys playing with trucks and cars, influencing their choice in toys based on what they think they should pick rather than what they're interested in. In addition, by this age, when looking at a picture of a man and a woman and being asked to choose which person they believe was really, really smart, a large majority of both male and female children aged 5 to 7 picked the male. Just let that sink in. By age 5, young girls and boys already associate intelligence with males, and this fact is extremely disturbing and proves how societal influences affect children at such an extremely young age. In addition, they also researched the effects on adult women, which provided evidence that these psychological effects they experience as children carry on throughout the rest of their lives and affect what career paths and other decisions they choose. This is just a taste of an extremely large amount of research done on how gender stereotypes affect people's thinking and opinions, and from these startling statistics it is evident that there's an enormous problem that we need to bring awareness to, as well as work toward a solution. Final thoughts. My point is making this video was to educate youth, especially girls, about how gender discrimination and stereotyping is still very much prominent in today's society. Hopefully I opened your eyes to how common this problem is and how detrimental the effects are, and the most important thing is to start conversations about this issue. My personal advice is to call out your family members or peers if you hear a discriminatory comment, even if they are not conscious of what they are saying. They say it in a joking way, or what they are saying does not seem like a big deal. In reality, every little comment makes a difference, especially around young children. Support the young children in your life and encourage them to play with whatever toys they want and pursue any activities they are passionate about. Make a boy playing with a doll or a girl playing with a truck normal, and stay away from saying that toy/activity/interest is just for girls or just for boys. Because every statement that ends with those two endings brings society farther from eliminating these gender stereotypes. And my final message is to the older girls out there. This may seem cheesy, but you can do and be anything you want. Do not let society put you in a box and decide on how you should look or what you should do. You are smart and beautiful, and your opinion and voice is valid, and never let anyone tell you otherwise. It may be scary, but do not be afraid to defy those stereotypes. I believe in each and every one of you, and I know you will help this world become better. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I'm so blessed to be able to share my voice on something I'm passionate about, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye!